Right now, Germany's trains are not as reliable or as punctual as they should be, and the situation has got worse in the last couple of years. Things are about to get even worse, but that's a good thing, at least if everything goes according to plan. This is a heads up for anybody planning to use the trains in Germany in the next couple of years. A massive project to modernize and upgrade the entire network has just started, and that is going to mean a lot of huge construction sites which will temporarily make the trains less reliable. Well, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. So, what's causing the problem? What's being done to fix it? And will it work? So the problem is something that has been in the headlines for a while now. The punctuality of German trains has been dropping. Now, it's not as catastrophic as many Germans will gloomily tell you, but things have got noticeably worse. At the moment, about 1/3 of all long-distance trains are delayed by 6 minutes or more. Incidentally, counting a train as late only after a certain number of minutes has elapsed is quite normal, at least in Europe. Many countries have similar criteria. The important thing is that things are getting measurably worse. There are many factors contributing to this, and some of them are not very easy to fix. For example, there are geopolitical problems making it difficult and more expensive to import steel and electronic components, which in turn means that repairs are taking a lot longer than they should. But the biggest issue has been long in the making. Demand has been increasing for decades, but capacity has not kept up. There hasn't been enough investment in modernizing the network, and so now some parts of it are trying to handle 20% more trains than they were designed to handle. And this is the specific issue that the government has decided to tackle. Starting, actually right now, in a program that's expected to last until 2031, large parts of the long-distance network are to be modernized, and several other parts are to be either completely rebuilt or built new from scratch. The idea is that by renewing the tracks, rebuilding some of the stations, putting in more points that can handle high-speed trains, and installing modern digital signaling equipment, capacity can be increased dramatically, making it much easier to keep timetables stable. Also, it should not come as a surprise to anyone that when mechanical parts get old, they break down more often, and so replacing them every now and then is probably a good idea. Work has just started on the main Frankfurt to Mannheim line, the so-called Rewboss, which is an important line for national and international trains. And whereas traditionally the line would have been kept partially open with a reduced service running on it, for this project the entire line has been shut down completely. The hope is that by doing it this way, a project which would otherwise have lasted something like 6 years can be done in 5 months. But obviously, that comes at a cost. Long-distance trains can be diverted onto alternative routes, but those alternative routes haven't been upgraded, at least not yet, and they don't all have the capacity. So running even more trains on them than normal is going to increase the chances of delays and cancellations. And local trains won't be running at all, and so Deutsche Bahn has had to order a whole fleet of rail replacement buses and recruit and train all the bus drivers. The Rewboss is being seen as a test of the whole concept. The thinking is that if things go according to plan on this line, then we can be confident about the rest of the project. So, will it work? That remains to be seen. Obviously, this being Germany, it's not difficult to find experts who are willing to list all of the reasons that this project is going to fail miserably and result in the entire country grinding to a halt as people abandon the trains and take to their cars and then can't drive anywhere because all of the roads are now in a permanent state of gridlock. But I remain cautiously optimistic, and I have 2 reasons for doing so. First, although this is a huge engineering project, it's not actually trying to push the envelope, it's just trying to catch up on some overdue maintenance and upgrading work. Even the brand new digital signaling equipment is already an industry standard. If you ask me to list the worst German engineering fails of recent years, I would probably list things like the Berlin-Brandenburg Airport or Stuttgart 21, notoriously over budget and massively delayed. But the problem I see with them is that they are vanity projects, revolutionary new architecture trying to do things never before attempted. It's wonderful to hear about all the things that engineers have learned during the planning and construction of Stuttgart's new railway station, but it was supposed to open at the end of 2019, and now it's going to be the end of 2026, if we're lucky. That is not the case with the general overhaul of the rail network. Now, of course, there are things that can go wrong, but the unusual part of this is just its scale. Second, back in January of this year, the Rewboss was closed down for 3 weeks for work to prepare for the main phase. This was basically a test of the test, and everything went according to plan. The hope is that with increased capacity, trains will have a much better chance of running on time. And that certainly makes sense. If outdated infrastructure is one of the main causes of these problems, then updating it should improve matters. But this is not the only problem facing German trains at the moment, and I hope that the government and Deutsche Bahn haven't lost sight of that. A general overhaul is absolutely necessary, and I'm relieved that it's now got going, but I think it should be seen as buying us time and giving us a chance to tackle the rest. Meanwhile, though, the problems will get worse at first, and it will be a couple of years before we start to see any improvements. And so here's the next problem. There is a federal election due next year before things have had a chance to get better, which means that we have to hope that the next government doesn't, on that basis, declare the project a failure and cancel it when it's only half done. Now, this next government is likely to be more conservative than this one, so here is my appeal to the more conservative parties. You know how embarrassing it was to host the Euros and have visiting fans shocked at how unreliable German trains are? As a matter of national pride, we should be doing everything we can to ensure that this does not happen the next time Germany hosts a major international sporting event. It is already an industry standard massive project to the specific issue that the government is